Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. Today we'll be shining our spotlight on an exceptional young individual. Her name is Rinsola Abiola, an entrepreneur and advocate for gender equity and youth inclusion and governance. She works at the intersection of politics and civil society to promote enhanced representation of marginalized groups in decision-making structures. A member of the advisory board of the World Youth Movement for Democracy, Ms. Abiola has worked to promote youth and women's interests, actively participating in campaigns including Not Too Young to Run. An active member of the All Progressives Congress in her native Ogun State, she's also the founder of the Rinsola Abiola Foundation, a non-profit organization set up to offer assistance to those in need. It's my pleasure speaking to her in today's program. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back on the Osasu Show.
My name is Rinsola Abiola, an indigenous of Abiola, Ogun State. I started the foundation as a vehicle for giving back to my people, for investing in the society that I grew up in, that my parents are from. I grew up here also, so I just believe charity begins from home. And I believe very passionately in empowering women. When you empower a woman, you've empowered a community. And that's why we put this program together today to give grants, small grants of 20,000 naira each to 110 women selected from markets and communities across Abiola North and South local governments to either help them start small businesses or support their existing businesses. Basically, I don't think it's really my position to give advice, so to speak, but I'm hoping that the funds can contribute to them being able to sustain themselves and their families, being able to support their children, being able to grow their businesses. And I actually look forward to establishing a long-lasting relationship with our beneficiaries. So it's not just going to be a one-off engagement for us. We're also going to follow up to be sure that they don't have any challenges with their businesses. And if there's anywhere else that we need to step in, we'll be able to offer assistance in that regard.
Welcome back to the program. I'm now being joined by Rinsola Abiola, the founder of the Rinsola Abiola Foundation. Thank you so much for joining me in today's program.
Thank you so much for having me, Osasu.
You're most welcome. It's such a pleasure having you here. Usually I talk to a lot of established politicians, sitting governors, legislators, ministers. But one thing I've made it very clear to do of charting the course of, the next few years of the Osasu Show is to put a spotlight on young people like yourself who are doing tremendous work, especially at the grassroots level.
Thank you.
I was watching one of the videos of your outreach and I was simply blown away that at such a young age, the passion that you have, the compassion for your people and your active participation in building them and developing their capacity, and you're not even a politician yet, So I just wonder what has inspired you thus far to, carry out some of the good deeds that you have done, and what do you intend to accomplish with your foundation?
Well, for me, it's always been about giving back, and it's always been about supporting those who need it. From a religion standpoint, we're encouraged to do as much good as we can for as many people as we possibly can. And then I think from a human standpoint also, it's, would I say, a little irresponsible to be able to help people and then refuse to. So for me, it's the passion has always been there, support people who are in need. I'm also very passionate about women generally. I like to empower women. I believe economic empowerment is a key tool for attaining gender equity. With economic empowerment, a woman is better able to put her kids in school. She's better able to run a business. And that was why I decided that the very first thing that I would do through the foundation was empower our women, help them to set up businesses. 20,000 naira to an upscale, well-to-do Nigerian doesn't seem like a lot, but at the grassroots, it could help somebody start a business that could sustain their family. So I just decided I was going to do that. And I grew up in Abiola, my hometown, and it's a town that I'm very passionate about. I talk about our people all the time, how Ogun State people are so dynamic, so wonderful, so intelligent, how much we've contributed to the history of this country. And I'm particularly very passionate about my hometown. And I just believe that whatever it is that we all have to do, charity begins from home, and there are a lot of ways that we can contribute to sorting people out, whether it's through politics. The whole point of joining politics to start with was also because I believed, that's a vehicle to do the greatest amount of good for the greatest amount of people. So whether I'm in office or I'm in government or I'm out of it, as an individual, I can help, and that's what I'm doing through the foundation.
Your late father, Abiola, did the same thing, and you're following his footsteps quite well. What sort of legacy would you like to leave behind as Rinsola Abiola?
Daddy inspires me a great deal. May his soul rest in peace. But as you said, it's very important. There's MQ, and then there are quite a number of us as children. So I'm Rinsola. Whatever it is I'm doing is because I want to do it, not necessarily because I'm trying to aspire to something that my father was or that my father did. So I think it's an honor, really, that a comparison would come up. But I assure you, I'm not reaching out to people, and I'm not supporting the needy because I want to be seen as being like MQ. I just do it because I'm passionate about it. And for me, I think the legacy that I would like to leave behind when my time comes, what I would like to spend my life doing is work in the service of other people. Do what you can to assist as many people as possible. I've done quite a bit in many different capacities, whether it's through politics, whether it's in youth advocacy, whether it's in gender advocacy, whether it's by reaching out to charity organization like my foundation. And I just believe that a life well spent is a life spent in the service of other people. Do as much as you can for as many people as you possibly can. And for me, it's about, getting women more empowered, getting young people to be heard. I believe in adequate representation for marginalized groups, women, young people, people with disabilities. I believe everybody has a role to play in our politics, in governance, in bringing about the kind of country that we want to see. So I work, at the intersection of politics and civil society to advocate for more spaces, more inclusion for different marginalized groups. And I think for me, that's basically the legacy that I'm working to establish. A voice, for those who needed their voices amplified, not necessarily because they didn't have one, but because, it's one thing to speak, it's another to aggregate voices. And I just believe that we need to amplify the voices of those who maybe are not being heard at the level that they should be heard.
I believe it was the late Dr. Martin Luther King who said, our service to others is the rent that we pay for our room here on earth. So it's very laudable, as I said, what you're doing through your foundation. And I tell people all the time, if we just wait for the government to do these things, a lot of lives wouldn't be touched. So we all have a role to play, impacting the lives of our neighbors. And, as you said, also religion plays a key role in it. We claim to be very religious in this country. So whether you're a Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're a traditionalist, I'm sure there's somewhere in your doctrine that says help others and be of, the most good. But for those of us who enjoy giving back, it's sort of like an intrinsic gratification for us to give back. It sometimes becomes very disheartening when we see that no matter how much we give back, it doesn't seem like the impact is wide enough. It doesn't seem like we have actually impacted the majority of the population just because there are so many people in need. Nigeria remains the poverty capital of the entire world. So what keeps you motivated, knowing that no matter how much you give back, it still wouldn't be enough?
It's something that actually keeps me up for quite long, thinking about the fact that, okay, we impact 100 lives today, we touch on 200 tomorrow, or maybe able to reach 300 in another community. There are thousands and thousands that still need help that we might not be able to reach. And I think we just have to do as much as we can for as many people as we can reach, and we just have to understand that in as much as we would like to just wave a magic wand and eliminate all the problems in the world, there really is a limit to how much we can do as individuals. And government, Nigeria is a very vast expanse of land. I've been to places in where I'm from, in my state, that you go in there and then you see how people are living, and it kind of just really puts things in perspective about the kind of how some basic things that are taken for granted mean the world to other people in other communities. And I think the onus just lies on those of us who have the means to, who are able to reach people, to do as much as we can in those places. Do what you can, do your best, leave the rest. Do what you can in the places that you're able to, and just trust that at least with the lives you've impacted, the ripple effects will go on to impact other lives. Like this empowerment that we did for women, it's basically to help them start up small businesses. And we all know that SMEs are the lifeblood of the economy, and we all know that for a family in a rural community, 20,000 naira makes a lot of difference. And, you know, this could actually be the key to getting someone's kids to stay in school. This could be the key to getting someone to be self-sufficient, to escape abuse. We have to focus on what we're able to do, derive satisfaction from that, and then let us pour us to do more. Yeah.
I remember in 2014 when I moved back to the country, I was doing charity work because I was shocked at the abysmal state of infrastructural development and, you know, the escalating poverty in Nigeria. And someone advised me, oh, why don't you start a foundation? And I said, no, I'm just enjoying doing what I'm doing. And said, Osasu, if you're able to touch 100 lives as an individual, when you start a foundation, you'll be able to touch 1,000 because of the people who plug in and, you know, empower you. I started my foundation. So now we're supporting thousands of people, women and children like yourself. And now they've come back to me, why don't you go into politics? As a private sector individual, you're helping, you know, over 1,000 people, but in politics, you can help millions because you'll be making policy. I was like, that's where I draw the line. Don't come to me with that. But you, I would pose the same question to you. I would do to you what they did to me by asking you the same question. So you've done phenomenal work through your NGO, through your foundation. So I know you ran for office in 2019 and you lost out. Are you going to try to run again? Because knowing that you can affect more people, impact more lives positively if you are in a position to make policies and laws that affect them.
The reason I joined politics in the first place was basically the same reason you were given. There's a limit to what you can do as an individual. As a person, you can touch 1,000 lives. With the backing of the Constitution, you can touch millions. And yes, this is very important. But at the same time, I believe, like you just said, I ran for office, I didn't win. And but that should not prevent me from doing what I can in the areas that I can. So for me, yes, politics is a tool for serving. It's a tool for service. It's a tool for empowering people. It's a tool for bringing about positive change. But at the same time, if you're not able to access political power, it shouldn't stop you from doing what you can while perhaps you wait or while you're learning the ropes. And there are many ways to actually make impact in politics. Some will run for office and they will do it through elective office. Some get elected into office and they barely make any impact. And then you have some who have never held any elective position, have maybe been appointed. Others just have influence within certain political circles and they're able to make things happen. So for me, it's about using whatever influence I can muster in any room I'm able to step into, and you know, influencing decisions of government, influencing whatever it is that I can for people generally. I'm very passionate about gender, for instance. I do gender advocacy. Oftentimes I've had to speak with people in positions of authority regarding gender-based legislation. I've also had to engage people in positions of authority for youth-focused legislation. I was active in the Not Too Young to Run campaign, for instance, and that was a huge success, thanks to all of the young people who came together across the country to participate in that. So whether I'm in office or not, I think the major thing for me is being able to make impact. And however I'm able to, I follow up on every opportunity to do that, irrespective of what it's going to be. If it's going to be through my foundation touching lives, if it's going to be through engaging with people in positions of authority, if it's going to be through speaking with people who maybe hold one position or the other and can make things happen. A lot of what I do is actually behind the scenes, not even me doing it overtly. And the foundation, for instance, the only reason why I decided to do that officially was the same reason people gave you, like, okay, if you're able to do this, you're doing this as an individual, you do a foundation, it's proper documentation, you're able to get more people to plug in to support your work. And I'm really trying to draw attention to needs that need to be met where I'm from. The government is doing what they can. I'm a huge fan of my governor, but as you said, there's a limit to just how many lives can be directly impacted in certain ways. We have the social investment program, for instance, but there are so many people who are poor and vulnerable who are not able to get into that register. So I think it's up to us as individuals, if we have the means, if we have people that we can contact, draft up a register of our own and then reach out to as many people as we can.
So are you going to try again for politics?
Well, I'm a very active member of my party in my local government.
Yes.
All politics is local. I believe that's where we really, really need to make impact as young people. So I'm very active in my local government. I'm invited to anything with the party at home. I go. I support in any way that I can. But you know how it is in politics. Whether you're able to vie for certain things is not your decision to make alone. It's a family at the end of the day. And so if I will be running for office again or not, honestly, it's not going to be my decision alone to make. So it depends on what is available, what opportunities are available. And right now, I think I'm actually having the time of my life, you know, just being able to do what I want. I'm absolutely free. So I'm not very particular about running for office, so to speak. But if a good opportunity presents itself, perhaps in future, sure, why not? And we do our consultations. They say to go for it. Everybody is okay with it, sure. But right now, it's not a priority, so to speak.
I've spoken to a lot of young people like yourself off camera who are doing a lot for their parties, especially at the grassroots level. But my fear remains the fact that I don't see a lot of space for young people and for women to thrive in the political space. Aside the honorary roles of youth leader and women leader, even in your party, I actually have to call out your party, the All Progressives Congress, a gentleman wanted to run for the position of national women leader, but I think he was educated more and he stepped aside. But I don't see a lot of space. So is there a change happening? Do you see any hope in your party, the All Progressive Congress, creating more space for women like yourself who are doing phenomenal work, you know, to be able to thrive and to rise through the ranks?
So it's a couple of things. About the young man who vied for the office, you know, anyone is free to aspire to anything. It depends on how it's handled, and I believe the national women leader handled that situation quite well. Now, running for office generally, or being more, getting greater inclusion depends on a number of factors. And we all know what the major issues with our politics are, especially for women who want to vie for elective office. We have the issue of funding. We have issues with violence in certain parts of the country. We have issues with sexism in other parts of the country. We just have a myriad of problems that actually affect women politicians in one way or the other. About creating spaces, it's going to take sustained advocacy. Look what we're able to do in Not Too Young to Run. We have the electoral bill before, I think, awaiting assent now. And if that is signed into law, a number of us are hopeful that with direct primaries, young people and women might stand a better chance as opposed to the delegate system where we all know how notoriously expensive it is. Direct primaries puts the power directly in the hands of the people, although if we're all being very honest and pragmatic, that's not immune to manipulation either. But we're hoping that perhaps out of concern for the fortunes of our respective political parties, those in positions of power will exercise some caution with how much manipulation, you know, will be put into the system with direct primaries. Because at the end of the day, if you do a bit too much manipulation, you're going to end up alienating members of the party. And if you do that, anti-party will happen. You'll have a lot of people working against the party's interests. Rightful candidates will leave. There's no way it's not going to negatively impact the party's fortunes at the polls. So a number of us are hopeful that with these factors in mind, young people and women might stand a better chance at direct primaries than they do with delegate system where it costs an astronomical amount of money to be able to compete successfully. That's one. Secondly, I believe that we need enabling policies for women and young people to be able to emerge. My party has a discount that it offers women aspirants with getting forms. Well, women have a challenge with funding, so I think that's a good thing. It might also be extended to young people. I know in Lagos State at the last local government elections, young people got a discount for young people who are aspiring to offices within that local government framework. So if we're able to do that nationally, I'm aware there's a national lobby committee pushing for quite a number of policies that will favor young people. So these are the kind of things that we hope to see. They're also pushing for enhanced inclusion in terms of appointments, because as I said earlier, not everybody is going to vie for office, but we definitely need to have more young people in spaces where decisions are made. And of course, we're also taking the work to regional and state levels. A number of us are working actually really hard to ensure enhanced inclusion for young people at the regional and state level, not just talking about national politics now. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But at the same time, I feel like there's also a need to manage expectations, or a need to encourage young people to be quite pragmatic in how they approach party politics. Politics in Nigeria is expensive. Politics everywhere is expensive. There's no two ways about it. So whether it's direct primaries or indirect primaries, you have a lot of spending to do. And I would also want to use this opportunity to call on Nigerians, well-meaning Nigerians, to essentially, let's put our money where our mouth is. If we're talking about women's inclusion, we're talking about young people's inclusion, we need to realize that the people in these groups, they need a lot of funding to be able to survive in the murky waters of our politics. So if you want to see more women emerge, support more women politicians with donations. If you want to see more young people emerge, support more young politicians with donations. Because at the end of the day, without a war chest in every sense of the word, you cannot compete with established politicians, irrespective of what party you're running on. And that's why you'll find that even the relatively young people who were able to emerge in 2019 either ran on established political parties, and those who ran on minority parties spent a lot of money. So there's really no way around it. We need to support those that we have those we believe will deliver on campaign promises, on the so-called dividends of democracy, so to speak. We need to be able to support them with money. Crowdfunding is not very mainstream in our political culture just yet, but it's something that I believe we need to embrace if we need, or if we want to see as many young people and women get into elective office as possible.
Most definitely. Rinsola Abiola, founder of the Rinsola Abiola Foundation. Thank you so much for coming on today's program.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Where can people find you on social media and follow your work?
We're at DerabifNG, DerabifNG on Facebook, on Instagram, and social media.
All social media platforms.
Yes.
Okay, so you've heard it here. Support more young people, support initiatives like this, and don't forget to read news and sustainable development and current affairs across Africa on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. I'll see you same time, same place next week, and until then, take very good care of yourself. God bless you. North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.